So I'm just coming back from a night out with my work friends. I left there at around 11 at night, took a drive because the weather was nice. I got to my road just before midnight. My tires were pretty messed up. There was a constant thumping noise when I drove. I'm moving my head around the car as I drive, hoping to pinpoint the sound to a certain tire so I could check for uneven wear. My head was kind of pointed down and to the right, listening to the front passenger tire, when I caught a glimpse of a white dress in the middle of the road. I quickly looked up and saw a little girl, 14 to 18 years old, just standing there staring at me as if she had seen a ghost. I stopped moving and we stared at each other for a second before I continued down the road. I immediately thought of those YouTube videos of someone driving down a dark, misty road, and out of nowhere, some lady in a white hospital gown is in the middle of the road and gets hit or something. A million thoughts went through my head. Who's this girl? I know everybody on my road. Why is she out here so late? Does she need help? What's with the dress this late at night? I pulled a U-turn and went back to her. As I pulled up, the first thing I said was, "Hey, are you okay?" She said, "Yes, I'm fine." I asked her what she was doing and she said, "Just taking a walk." But at midnight, she looked terrified. I told her I wasn't trying to scare her and she wasn't in trouble. I also told her I thought she was a ghost and I wanted to figure out what was going on. She told me she lived down the road and she was going back there. I've never seen her before. I know everybody who lives on my road. I said, "All right, as long as you're okay, I just wanted to make sure." And I U-turned again and went back toward my house. I looked in the mirror and I saw her immediately turn into the next driveway, even though she told me she lived further down. Once I got home, I walked down the road to where she went. She was gone. There was no trace of her. Either that or she was hiding from me. I don't know. I feel really bad for scaring her. I just wanted to make sure she was safe. But something was off about her. It was like she was sleepwalking or something. She seemed scared and yet disassociated. Her words were slow but uptight and reclusive. I mean, who the heck wears a white dress at midnight in the middle of the road? Come on, you can't do that. This happened about 20 years ago. I was in my early 20s. It was around 1 or 2 in the morning and I was driving home to a little town in Alaska. At the time, I didn't have a driver's license, was driving an uninsured car, carrying a concealed weapon, and likely had drugs on me. Considering all that, I usually took back roads when I could to avoid cops. This night was no different. I turned off the highway onto a loop that went past a bunch of farms and a few small subdivisions. At one point, there's a 90-degree corner in the road, and it's pitch black out, so I slowed down to about 15 miles an hour to go around the corner. As soon as the road straightened, I saw there was a child's red radio flyer wagon in the middle of the road, lying on its side. There were various kids' clothes spilling out of the wagon across the road and down into the ditch. On the other side of the ditch was a foot trail leading into the woods. My first thought was that there had to be a little kid at the end of the closed trail in the woods somewhere. I pulled my pistol and walked to the edge of the road, looking at the clothes leading down the trail. I stood there for a moment, debating whether or not I should go into the woods looking for whoever. The whole thing just seemed wrong. It felt like there was someone just at the edge of the woods watching me. Even with my pistol in my hand, I was scared. I got right back in my car, drove around the wagon, and went home. I don't know where the wagon or clothes came from, or if there was anyone there or not, but I'm pretty sure if I had stepped off the road to look for the kid, I would have never been seen again. There are two types of school teachers: those who come early, those who stay late. I've always been one of the former. Most days I arrive at school prior to sunup. This is a story that happened around 6:30 a.m. before the light of day. It's also something I still think of often because it's extremely disturbing. There was a large parking lot in the back of the school that was unseen from the main road. It was approximately a quarter of a mile back. Unless you knew it was back there, you wouldn't go looking for it. I was the first person there that morning, as usual. I was waiting to hear the end of a newscast when I saw headlights pull in behind me. This was out of the ordinary because most teachers wouldn't show up till around 7 a.m. I also was thrown due to the fact this person left their lights on, and instead of parking in a space, they stayed behind me, parked at an angle. I thought about getting out of my car, but decided I'd wait until more teachers showed up. At first I thought maybe it was a parent, but the more I watched them, I began to think this person was sinister. They rolled down their window and smoked a cigarette. It was a white male with a scraggly beard and hair, rough appearance. We sat there in total silence for 15 to 20 minutes, and all the while, this guy never took his eye off the back of that school. When a few teachers showed up, I hopped out of my car. All of us thought he was odd. I called my principal. He didn't answer, but later I mentioned the entire story to our campus cop. He said he checked the cameras. Later that cop came looking for me and he seemed rattled. He wanted to know if by any chance I'd gotten the car's plate. I didn't. He looked dejected. He turned to me and said that he'd watched this guy pull in at 6:30 and then wait, watching for about an hour or more, and then leave. He had no reason to be there. The police officer said the man's body language and overall vibe was very concerning. In hindsight, I don't think he was interested in me or the teachers. This happened a few days ago, but I still feel creeped out if I think about it. I live near a big city and I don't have a car, so I have to take the bus every day. This particular day started pretty normal. I was already on for like 10 minutes, and two young girls around 10 years old got on the bus and sat in the seats in front of me. Some minutes passed by, and at the next stop, a really creepy looking guy around 50 years old got on and sat 2 rows in front of the two girls. He had dirty clothes on and just looked really unhygienic. Some minutes passed and I saw he always turned his head back and looked at the girls. It was already weird. Another few minutes passed and I see the guy getting out his phone and pointed towards me and the two girls. Felt weird, but suddenly I saw the flash on his phone. I was shocked, but I thought maybe he just accidentally put the flash on. A couple minutes passed and he does it again. At this point I felt disgusted and got up and went over to the guy. I asked him what he was doing. He asked, "What do you mean?" I screamed at him in the middle of the bus, "Delete the pictures you took of those girls." He started to smile, but in a really creepy way. He looked at me and told me he did take a picture, but not of the girls. The guy took photos of me. I didn't know what to do. I just sat back in my seat and waited for the next stop to come. Fortunately, the girls took off the next stop, but the guy didn't. At this point, I knew he really told the truth about taking pictures of me. Next stop, me and the guy got off, but he didn't do anything except stare at me. I still feel a little creeped out if I think about it. I'm happy because the two girls weren't harmed, but still, this was creepy as hell.